tiny heart-shaped symbol suddenly began to glow. Golden light spread across the ancient crystal gate. Milo, Pip, Ripple and Professor Olive stepped back in surprise. Something had changed. The gate was no longer completely silent. It was listening. Luma stepped forward. Her shimmering ears lifted as she looked at the friends. Suddenly, the crystal gate opened just a tiny amount. A golden path appeared inside. But there was something strange. The path divided into two directions. At the end of the first path, a tiny rainbow crystal floated in the distance. The second Heart Crystal Fragment. But the second path looked completely different. Dark, cold, and almost impossible to see. Then, a tiny sound came from somewhere inside. Milo looked at the glowing crystal. Then he looked toward the dark path. The crystal was important, but someone was calling for help. Pip followed Milo without hesitation. Ripple followed. Then Professor Olive. They left the easy path behind. Deep inside the passage behind a cluster of crystal rocks, something moved. Pip spotted two tiny glowing eyes. Hidden between the rocks was a tiny silver-blue creature. One of its little wings was caught beneath a fallen crystal branch. All helped to lift the crystal log. The little creature pulled its wing free. It fluttered happily into Milo's paws. Then, a warm golden glow appeared behind them. Milo slowly turned around. The dark passage was beginning to shine. The golden light traveled through the crystal chamber. The path they had ignored began glowing brighter than ever. The light began to spin. Faster and faster. Rainbow-colored energy gathered in the center. Slowly, and crystal began to form. The rainbow crystal floated toward Milo. But this time, it wasn't coming from the end of the path. It had appeared beside the little creature they had rescued. The heart crystal had never wanted them to choose the fragment. It wanted them to choose kindness. Milo gently placed the second heart crystal fragment into his crystal pouch. The moment it touched the first fragment, a brilliant rainbow burst filled the chamber. Far beyond the crystal chamber, a tiny ripple appeared in the rainbow river. Then, a tiny streak of red appeared in the water. Blue followed, then green, then yellow, and purple. Flowers opened along the riverbank. Birds returned to the trees. Their happy songs filled the valley once again. Milo and Pip stood quietly, watching the valley come alive. They had done it. Luma thanked them for not choosing the easiest path but the kindest one. Suddenly, Milo's backpack began glowing. The magical map floated out of the backpack. It opened by itself. A new glowing symbol appeared. A mountain, and beneath it, 3 tiny stars. Professor Olive stared at the map. His cheerful expression disappeared. He knew that symbol. Far beyond the rainbow river, a huge whispering mountain rose above the clouds. Thin golden mist curled around its peak. Just then, a faint sound traveled across the valley. A whisper, almost too quiet to hear.
2 heart crystal fragments had been found. 48 were still missing. And somewhere beyond the mountains, another mystery was waiting. Join Milo, Pip, and Olive in the next exciting episode.
Thank you for watching. Like, share, and subscribe.